Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Cote, and I am your podcast host on today's episode. And today on the show, we have Jon Stone, Managing Director of Frederick Cooper, as our guest. We're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, and challenges and some best practices that he's learned along the way to give you that inside scoop to what it's really like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Jon. Thanks for being on the show today.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, share a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Frederick Cooper.
Yeah, sure. I'm John, Managing Director at Frederick Cooper. Worked for the business for 27 years now, in my early 50s, unfortunately now. But yeah, been there most of my working career. So kind of started as a management trainee after a couple of years work experience after my degree, and been there ever since. Sort of like the company, and it's been a big part of my career, and I've been able to shape the business as I've grown up through it. So it's been a good journey.
Oh, absolutely love to hear that. And tell us a little bit about Frederick Cooper. What are some of the services or products that you offer?
Yeah, sure. So we do paint spraying and powder coating. So our customers will make components, and that's mainly for the automotive industry. And we will sort of add value by painting and powder coating them. So we work at mainly at the top end of the automotive industry. So our big end customers are Rolls Royce motor cars, Aston Martin, Bugatti, Jaguar Land Rover, those sort of people. We paint a lot of sort of high gloss piano black components for the automotive industry, but we paint parts that get built on cars all over the world. We even have some of our bits get exported to cars that get built in the US. So we get everywhere.
Oh, very cool. So I may one day be driving a car that you've helped work on. Let's
Absolutely.
hope.
Hopefully so. Yeah, yeah. And
That's a
we
good goal.
work on a lot. Yeah, we work on a lot of sort of big supercar brands. So quite often you see cars in the James Bond films or shows on Netflix when they're driving around in Bentleys and stuff, and we can see our paintwork. And so it's great to see. It's really good. Not that I've got one of those cars, but it's good to see them.
Oh, very cool. That was the first thing that came to mind for me too, was James Bond because he always has an Aston Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. We painted a number of parts for his vehicles over the years, and specifically, there was one film where they made some DB10s, which wasn't a production car, and they just made about seven or eight of them for the film, and we painted bits on that. So that was good fun.
Very cool. I love that story. Well, okay, so I'd like to dive in a little deeper on you. We'll start out with you. What is your why? What got you excited about being in this business to begin with?
I kind of fell into it by accident a little bit. Got did my degree in accounting, and I was kind of just got an everyday job in the automotive industry, and I was approached by a friend from the rugby club actually to see if I wanted to work as a management trainee at Frederick Cooper. So it was one of those. It's not what you know, it was who you know, and just sort of fell in love with it. I'd never seen myself in the coatings or paint spraying industry, but just enjoyed being it and working with some of the customers that we've worked with. So I've sort of grown with it and seen a lot of changes over the years. And because it's quite a small business, I've been able to be very influential there. So it's been good fun doing it, and you can actually see, the benefit of what you're bringing to the business and see the changes over the years. So it kind of fell into it by accident, but it worked really well for me. It suited my skills, I think.
Oh, I absolutely enjoy that. And it's so fun when those things happen and they work out and you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, whoa, I'm doing something I love. I didn't even know I loved. And when it finds you, that's really special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it on a number of different levels, sort of, from the people that we work with, to the customers and brands that we work on, and what we do every day. So we try and bring a bit of fun to work as well. So we've built a great team over the years, and I want those people to enjoy what they're doing when they come to work as well. So I think it's a pretty good environment to work in. So yeah, it's a good team atmosphere at Frederick Cooper at the moment.
That's what I really want to talk about. Let's dive into your team. How many team members are you at right now? And what is that company culture like?
Yeah, so we're about 160, people, something like that at the moment. All our spraying is all manual. We don't have any robots or anything like that because of a lot of what we do is quite low volume and very sort of high skilled work. We have a lot of sort of skilled sprayers and polishers, and we do a lot of extra work to components, masking and prepping and just making sure what's going to go on a Rolls Royce or an Aston Martin is absolutely perfect and it's real high level of craftsmanship. So
Mm.
you know as a result of that, we're not looking to sort of sweat people. We want people to come and work hard on the parts, but it's more the focus on the quality rather than the quantity. And then to do that, the management team sort of bring that sort of team ethos to it, and everyone sort of pitches in to set the jobs up, and there's a lot of skill sharing and training. So it's a very people focused business. So we try and look after our people uh, and make sure that they're in well, enjoying it as much as you can when you're at work. But we try and bring that happy atmosphere to the workplace, really.
Definitely. Well, that is so good to hear too, because that and a well-oiled machine is such a great way to run a business, I feel. So I love that you have that, kind of diving into a little bit about the business in your marketing. You talked about you're getting high quality, you're not like a lower volume, but a really high quality service that you're providing. So how do you reach the people you want to work with, or is how do you market the company?
So we're fortunate we've got a good sales team and going out speaking to people. But we do rely a lot on repeat business because the easiest way of finding new business is through customers and relationships you've already got. So we try and look after the customers that we've got, make sure that we give them good service so that when they win a new project, they come back to us for the painting and the coating of it. And then because we've looked after people, people move around the industry and go from one company to another. So we've been fortunate to pick up work that way. But then we do a lot of proactive marketing and selling, whether it's networking events, exhibitions, picking up the phone, ringing potential customers up. We'll sort of try any means to try and get to speak to people without we don't really do cold calling and that sort of stuff. We do it, try and do it on a relationship level. But yeah, we're trying to build our social media presence over the last few years. We've got some quite good fun content out there, especially on our LinkedIn and our Twitter sort of channels. And we try and sell our philosophy as much as anything and how we are as people. You'll see more on our social media about what we do, maybe even outside work or some of the work we do, raising money for charity and things like that. You'll see more posts probably about that and what we are as people and a team rather than us sort of flogging the fact that we do painting, really. So we want people to buy into our culture and, want people to know what they'll get when they engage with Frederick Cooper as a partner.
Ah, that is so cool. Like you're tapping really into that community component and like that collaborative community, things beyond the scope of work and the lifestyle of what you're working on. That's really ingenious.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and but it'd be boring if we were just posting about painted parts on cars, and there is content out there that we do on that, but yeah, it really is a culture thing, and you're sort of buying into what we are as a business, or that's what we like to see, because we want these people to deal with us for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's not a transactional thing. You don't generally come to
Mm.
Frederick Cooper because you want one part coated. You come in because you want all your parts coated for the life of a project, which might be 3 or 5 years or something. And we want people to know that they've got a trusted partner, and we'll look after them and we've got their back, and they want to know the kind of people that we are, really, and we're proud of that.
Definitely. Well, I'd like to kind of go back in your journey, thinking about all these years in business. What is something, maybe a challenge that you were faced with that you were forced to overcome and you overcame and you thrived because of it? So I'd love to hear something you faced that you overcame.
Yeah, sure. Gosh, I mean, the biggest one that springs to mind is probably COVID times back in early 2020. From a UK perspective, I think it was about March the 20th, 2020. Our then Prime Minister Boris Johnson sort of closed the UK for business from March the 20th. So they put a very generous furlough scheme into. At the time, we had 160 odd people, and everybody was sent home really, without any work for a few weeks. But we were actually able to open up quite quickly because we were involved with powder coating components for the medical industry and ventilators in particular. So we actually kept the business open with about 8 or 10 people just coating ventilator parts. And because of the nature of COVID, everyone was using ventilators. The volumes on that project went up significantly. So we kept going with that for a few weeks. And then gradually, as things eased, we sort of managed the transition from running a skeleton crew, 10, 12 people coming into the factory every day doing critical work, to then gradually opening back up over a period of probably 10 to 12 weeks as things started to get back to semi-normal and people came into work and in masks, and we had to space everybody 2 meters apart and all of that sort of stuff. But it was a big challenge because the financial pressures we get. We went from turning over tens of thousands of pounds a day to almost nothing, and managing that transition and getting people back in and finding out what our customers were doing and how quickly we can get up and running. That was a big challenge. So it was a difficult year, but we probably benefited from it in the long term because we inevitably had to lose people, but we built up a really good strong team, sort of out of the phoenix out of the ashes, like a lot of companies had to do. And we've had a really strong trading period ever since, really. So we've been quite fortunate on that front. But that was a big challenge at the time, certainly.
Definitely, especially with like thinking about that innovative, to work on other types of products and keep the keep the lights on using that. So that is really I think that's a huge nugget for entrepreneurs out there is when you're faced with a challenge, and that was a global challenge that you were able to find a way to innovate through. So I think that's a great nugget for any listeners out there to remember that when things are like abruptly changed, to be able to be adaptable and innovate is a huge I think a huge way to get through those hard times for sure.
Yeah, if you're agile and can look at new markets, it's a big thing. If you can move quickly and you know get things moving in the right direction, that's yeah, certainly been good for us over the years.
Definitely. Well, looking at your team and what you are doing, what like your role as the managing director, what does your day-to-day look like? Do you like spend most of your time like working in the business or on the business, or 50-50 split? What's that look like for you?
Oh yeah, well, I do really try and work on the business. When I sort of moved up from sales director to managing director 3 or 4 years ago, that was kind of the hardest thing to let go from stuff that I've been doing day to day. Maybe getting involved in new projects and what have you. And that was a really hard thing for me to back away from that. But I've seen over the years that you need that person at the top of the business working on the business. So I try and spend as much time as I can working on the business. I like to walk around the site that we've got. We've got a 5 acre site in Birmingham. We sort of increased the site last year, and we've got a lot of development going on the site at the moment. So I do like to walk around the site, talk to people, and see what's going on. I try not to get sucked into the day-to-day environment of it. Um, we had a big new project launch in the autumn, sort of September, October time, and because it was such a massive project that landed very quickly, I did find myself out of necessity getting very hands-on in that project, and I really enjoyed it. It was a nice change, going back to almost the old ways, but I needed to make sure that I pulled myself out of that and left it to the guys that I trust to run it. As soon as it wasn't going to be overwhelming, for the team. It was just too big a project until we got more resources involved for one person to take on. So that was quite good fun because I will still get pitch in when I need to, but if I can take that step back and I'm trying, now that we're into a new year, trying to plan the year, trying to look further ahead, see what work's coming later in the year. We've got new booths coming online later in the year. We've got to move the factory around. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at more later ahead this year, right now. So, but yeah, you've got to find that
Mm,
balance ultimately. But yeah, the more you can work on the business, it's more important as you move further up that chain.
exactly. And like as a business owner, finding when it is time to pull back from like that hands-on project work. What is your biggest challenge with that? Like how do you do it? Because I know that's where a lot of businesses struggle is like if they get into a project and then they're like, oh well, I gotta give the reins. I gotta let the reins go on this. How do you know when that moment is?
I don't think you do. It's a judgment call because it's
Yeah.
finding the balance because I don't want to tread on the toes of the people who are doing a really good job working and running the project. So I don't want to tread on
Mm,
their toes, but I also don't want to leave them with too much to do. So it's just finding that balance and trying to. I ended up sort of backing myself out bit by bit, probably over a 3 or 4 week period, and that worked quite well. And I think I'm quite a good communicator. So I think just having those communications with your team and finding out how much time they're spending on that, how much spare time they've got, that's important. And, speaking to them and using that, you know, good communications to back out at the right time, that's important. But yeah, because if you get involved for too long, you say you're just treading on people's toes and getting in the way ultimately. So just finding that balance.
definitely. And you mentioned kind of looking ahead into the future. I'd like to know what are your plans with the company within, like, say, the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to see it go?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I have been head in the sand a little bit the last, quarter last year, as I was saying. But yeah, we're just looking to grow. I think there's good potential in our sort of area of the automotive industry. You know, with whatever happens with electric cars or hydrogen cars or petrol cars, people are still going to want to people with a lot of money are still going to want to buy expensive cars, and there's more and more millionaires created in the world. So I think generally the outlook for luxury car market should be pretty good. So we'll be looking to hopefully grow along with that, but also look at other markets as well. Can we do more in the medical industry? Can we do more in the I don't know the lighting sector, or we do work in the electronics sector and other areas? Be great for us to be a bit less reliant on automotive and do more in those other areas as well. Um, in the shorter term, we've got more booths and more investment that we've put in recently that we'll be growing into, and we've got room on our site to invest further and put more buildings up, and we definitely got space. So it's going to be an exciting time over 3 to 5 years, and I think it's just going to be growth, kind of building on the business plan that we've got, just doing more of the same and getting bigger and better, hopefully.
Hmm. I love to hear about the growth. That is so fun, kind of seeing that outlook of the future is bright and seeing how you can diversify into other industries is also really incredible too, kind of bringing it back to what you experienced in COVID. And now you can like take that and run with it if you choose to do that with the business, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just got to try and take it to another level, really. I mean, the business has been going since 1879. Um, so I think, we're probably in the best period it's been in its long history. It's always been quite a small business, but yeah, I think we're sort of modernizing it, bringing it up to speed and looking to grow and, take us forward into that period. Quite we're 2025 now. We're talking about the 2030s soon, won't we? So yeah, it really is looking to the early 2030s to see where we want to be. But yeah, feels like we're going to be in a good place over the next 5 years, I think.
Definitely. Well, that's exciting. This has been such a fun conversation so far, and I'd like to dive into a fun part of the conversation, which I call the rapid fire questions, where I ask
Right.
you four questions. I ask you four questions where you answer very top of mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Go on, let's go for it.
All right. Question number one is what is a piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
I think communicate with your staff, communicate with your customers. I don't think you can communicate enough. My biggest hate, or if you like, is when you just don't get the information and things are happening, but you don't know about it. Just tell people what's going on, whether it's internally or externally. I think communications are so important.
100%. And what is a key to success for you?
The key to success for me, I think going forward, is, we're of a size now where, I can't run the business and I can't do things on my own. I need a team of people managing the business for me. So it's really, I've got a great team around me at the moment, and it's really, keeping that team sort of happy and motivated and informed as to what we're doing, and hopefully letting those guys, or it's for me to give the tools to those guys to grow the business, whether that's in sales or production or quality or whatever. So yeah, I've got to use that team around me, definitely.
Definitely. And number three is what is a book or piece of content, could be a like book, podcast, anything you've taken in most recently?
Oh, I'm rubbish at business books. I've done I've been on a couple of sort of short courses and things recently, but yeah, I don't know. I'm more one for sort of carving my own path, and I do listen to my peers and getting advice from peers. I'm in a good sort of networking group with people in similar roles, and I find that's really good sounding board to listen to their advice and things. But I'm rubbish at reading business books and listening to business podcasts and stuff. I need to do more of it, but I'm rubbish at that.
I am too, actually. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
And final question is if you could wave a magic wand and rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Oh wow. I don't know. I mean, we're doing a great job. We're growing fast. I think it would be I would wave a wand and have more skilled labor easily at my command. I don't know what it's like over in America at the moment, but skilled labor force are difficult to find, and you've got to hang on to
Mhm.
people when you find them. And we're doing a lot of training and trying to bring people's skills up. So if I could wave a magic wand, yeah, I would have 10 more skilled sprayers come into the business overnight, I think, right now.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And before we get to our final question, how can people find you and get connected with your business?
Yeah, so we got a website which is frederickcooper.co.uk. We're based in Birmingham in England. We do most of our work for British sort of customers, but a lot of our work ends up going all over the world because we parts that we spray get built onto cars, but some of our customers will build components for cars that get built abroad as well. So we do have a global reach. But yeah, for very high quality paint spraying, Frederick Cooper in Birmingham, you should be able to find us on Google, and my profile's out there on LinkedIn. Jon Stone, no H in John. Hopefully you'll find me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, John. For our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh, what's inspiring to me today? Well, I think it's a very cold day here in England, but because it's been cold, the sun's been shining. So I think driving home with the sun shining for the first time that year, that's quite inspiring. It's been a cold, gloomy winter here, and even though it's cold, it's a reminder that spring's just around the corner, and we've got spring and summer to look forward to. And I'll be out playing golf soon when the weather improves. So that's what I'll take from today.
Oh, I love hearing that. Yes, the sunshine makes a world of difference for sure. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you for sharing about your experience in business, and I wish you the best in all you do. Thanks for being on the show.
Great, thanks for having me.